world where sports take center stage, four voices rise above the noise. Welcome to the Unfiltered Sports Podcast, where raw meets real, honesty has no off-season, and nothing gets sugar-coated. Hosted by Todd, Maddie, Dominic, and Randy. This isn't just another sports talk show. It's your weekly dose of unapologetic truth, gut-busting comedy, and hard-hitting analysis. From recaps to pick'ems, we break down the game like it's fourth and inches. No filters, no excuses. Just sports the way it was meant to be. Buckle up. This is the Unfiltered Sports Podcast.
Hey, welcome into another episode of the Unfiltered Sports Podcast, breaking down the NFL weekend that was the Divisional Playoff series of games, and then we're going to get into the championship Final Four round as we're going to break down essentially the Elite Eight. I am your host, Todd Fox, along with to my right, the great Dominic Lorenz from Catella Chronicles.
What's up, folks? How we doing? Happy Monday tonight.
Yes, Monday. No Tuesday show.
Tuesday came early.
Yeah, as Mario says right there. What's up, everybody?
It was a last-minute change.
Yes, and to his right is the one, the great Matty Matt.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into another episode, guys.
Yes,
We're
sir.
happy here.
Absolutely. Great day to get started to talk about football, as there is the national championship currently going on, but you're not missing much because Ohio State's doing Ohio State things. Spoiler alert, it's 28-7, or else 31-7 last time I checked.
31-15. Notre Dame just scored for those that are hoping for a round.
Notre Dame, hey, you remember the miracle?
For all you betting odds out there.
Yeah, touchdown Jesus indeed. So as we're in the playoffs, we're going to get more in depth in these games that we usually would do during the regular season. We don't really have too many headlines. We're going to save the headlines, if there was any, for the games themselves. So you're going to catch that in between right now. And the first game we're going to break down, as Big 20 checks in with Let's Go Chiefs, is the Chiefs hosting the Texans. Surprise, the Chiefs defeat the Texans 23-14. But the only surprise in my mind was the score was that close. Now, before we even get started, guys, I guess my first question has to be to you guys. How about them unnecessary roughness calls and supposedly late hits on Patrick Mahomes and the refs? Did the NFL do itself any justice by bringing more controversy and having its announcers call them out live?
That's why I love Troy Aikman.
Yeah, no, I think it's one of those situations where people are now beginning to wake up and be like, oh, this is a real thing that's happening in the NFL with the Kansas City Chiefs. It's not just, oh, people are speculating, oh, this, and this. This has been going on since the Super Bowl of 2020 when it was the Niners and the Chiefs in Miami before COVID. Bosa being held for half of the game and all of these situations. It has progressed to this level, and now it's so blatant now. Mahomes thinks he's not getting calls, and now he's flopping going onto the sideline.
I saw that.
So we're taking it now to a different level, and I think it's something that's always been there, but just more people on a bigger scale, divisional round, are paying attention to it now. And back-to-back years of Texans versus Chiefs in the divisional round, I think it just kind of brings up those sentiments. And just like D'Amico Ryans said, the head coach of the Texans, it was us against everybody today. And he kind of winked like the Chiefs, the fans, Taylor Swift. Oh, and the refs too. Like it's everybody in combination.
Matt?
Yeah, I mean, that one play Dom talked about, the flop, I'm not going to lie. That did not look good at all. And it definitely didn't look good for Patrick Mahomes, man. I mean, and then there was another bad call, that roughing the passer. The two defenders hit themselves. And I was just like,
JJ Watt on Twitter was all over that as a former Texan. He was all over that one.
I'm like, I mean, when you look at it first, first speed, how it first come, it was like, okay, it probably did. But then when they replayed, I was like, yeah, nah.
No.
They hit themselves. I mean, look, the score was actually close. The Texans actually could have won. And I'm shocked that the score was that close, like Todd mentioned earlier. And but I mean, I want to give the Texans a shout out because they were undermanned coming into the playoff, losing Stephon Diggs, losing what's his name? Not Nico Collins, Tank Dell. Those are your two powerhouse receivers. And for you to compete and not only beat the Chargers first round, but stay in the game against the Chiefs, knowing all those factors, the referees, the home field advantage, the Taylor Swift's media and everything, you still was there. And for them to have a chance, even at the last minute of the game, give them credit. A lot of back calls. Now this is what I took at this game. Vegas is blatant too. Did you see the last play of the game?
The safety run around.
Safety when the spread was plus, what was it, plus 8.5? And they were up 11. And you take the safety to be up 9. I mean, that was blatant for me. That right there told me this game is definitely money.
It's shady.
It's shady. If that didn't tell you, I don't know what else did. That's what I took out of that.
Now you had when it comes to this game, you had a couple performances that kind of raised eyebrows. CJ Stroud bounced back with a nice game. Travis Kelce went 7 for 117. He kind of has disappeared in the last few weeks as far as making big numbers, but you have to give the devil its due. And Mahomes, in that play where I believe it was a 2-point game or a 1-point game,
where he threw it in the end zone when he was falling.
Yeah, he was falling down like Brett Favre used to do, and he threw a perfect pass. I mean, what can you do defensively right there? I mean, they had him stopped. He was trying to scramble. They knock him down, and then it's just like they can't cover everything. And it just seems like Mahomes keeps finding those open receivers when the time is right, when the play is right, and the Chiefs seem to just make those plays. But I had to play off of what you guys both said, the iffy calls that, you brought up, Dominique, and how you raise eyebrows. And then what you said, Matt, with, credit to Houston Texans. I mean, they were huge underdogs. I don't think anybody outside of Houston, and maybe not even in Houston, picked Houston to win that game. And they gave the Chiefs pretty much all they had.
No, and I think this year proves yet again, even though Houston throughout the regular season had their ups and downs in that sophomore slump for CJ Stroud, they balled out in the playoffs. And even though beating the Chargers and then taking out the Chiefs, you have a situation here where all four of us have talked about it, that Houston's going to be running their division for a while. And it's a situation where they have a good young quarterback, a good set of wide receivers, even though injuries came about this year. Joe Mixon getting added to the mix was great. Their defense can ball out from time to time. You keep adding pieces and keep strengthening that defense over the next couple of years. Their head coach, D'Amico Ryans, is a defensive-minded head coach. So that defense is bound to get better and better as years go on. So they have a nice little nucleus that they can keep moving forward. So hopefully, at a certain point, we don't know how long, the Chiefs are going to reign, or Baltimore, or Buffalo, and those kind of top 3 echelon teams. You're in a situation where you could pivotally be the 4 seed year in and year out and battle and make it to the divisional round and hopefully further. So I think this is just another kind of knock on the shell of CJ Stroud and this team that they can take moving forward to just be better as each year goes on. But yes, you got to give the devil his due. Mahomes, I always compare Patrick Mahomes to LeBron James. Can't stand them personally. Are they talented? Yes, of course. They play their sport very, very well. So, yes, give the devil their due.
I will also say this, too. Yes, give the devil his due. I don't have a problem with the Chiefs, actually. I'm not, like, a big hater of them or anything. I will say this, though. They did not look impressive at all. And the way we'll get into it in the other game, but, with the Bills, I mean, I'm just saying, man, they could be had, dude, because Texans gave them their all, and it was there. And the Chiefs, I don't know, unless they weren't playing at their full capacity, they did not look impressive at all. I mean, Mahomes got some fortunate passes and fortunate calls. Outside of that, I don't know, man. This is probably their window closing this year. if they don't win this year, that's it. I don't know, man. They're gonna have to add some pieces. Even Kelsey's looking a lot slower. I know he's getting older, but he's taking a step slower. He needs some help. And yeah, the Chiefs are not impressive. They haven't been impressive all year, to be honest with you.
And yet they still have 15 wins, man. It's insane.
That's crazy.
They have Kansas City looking forward. They do have the core, Isaiah Pacheco at the running back position. He's been, he's under contract for a while. They have, Rashid Rice, even though he has off the field issues, he was injured. He'll be back. Xavier Worthy, the rookie, he's going to be nice. Kelsey's not going to go anywhere. So they have 3 guys that are there. I don't know Hollywood Brown and DeAndre Hopkins. I don't know what kind of contract situation is being aging veterans in this league are going to be about. But still, they're a free agent market for anybody. It's Mahomes, it's Kelsey, it's the Aura, it's Andy Reid. I don't know if their window closes. I would probably say maybe for another 3 to 5 years because of Mahomes' long contract. But again, Matt, you said it perfectly. Kelsey's getting older. So they're going to have to think long-term in the future. Who's going to be that guy that's going to pair with Mahomes? Because what is it? Patrick Mahomes is what, only 26?
Yeah.
Something along those lines. So I would say you got about 3 years. When Mahomes gets towards 30, all the hits, everything kind of takes a beating on your body and different things. So I would say give the Chiefs 3 more years of legit contendency before maybe they might have a year or two where it's like, okay, here's a down year, and then we're back up. A down year and a back up kind of thing.
I feel you. Real quick, I just wanted to read some of the comments real fast. Randy wasn't able to make it tonight, and this was a last-minute change, guys. So we're sorry we didn't notify anyone.
It's on me. It's on me. I had to make the change, so my apologies. But
yeah, we did. Yeah.
Thank you for making it happen, boys.
Thank you. No problem. It was last minute, so we didn't have time to notify anyone. So we apologize for the late late.
But that's why people that like, comment, and subscribe can rewatch it the next day too.
Yeah, you don't necessarily have to watch it live.
That's right.
That's where the bulk of the views go anyway. So
yeah. By the way, the Bears got Ben Johnson immediately after the Lions lose.
I think he got hired just on that play, which we'll talk about right now. That was a fantastic.
Well, let's get into it, man.
Which I hope they add to Madden and college football games because that was awesome. The Washington Commanders, again, I would love this team. Yeah, Sonya's team. I wish this team was and I harp on that every week, but hey, it is what it is. Look, they scored 31 points in the first half, and that was definitely a shock right there. Detroit, for all that they've done good, is basically proven over the years. If you've watched football for a long time, like I have, you've watched a team like Denver with John Elway have a tremendous regular season, have home field throughout, and quickly lose to a wild card team. Or you've seen other teams do it, and you're like, what the hell? And your season comes down to one bleeping game. You have one chance to keep your season going. You have to show up, and you may have played air-free football all year, but then all of a sudden the wheels fall off, and then you can't put them back on in time. And I think that's what happened in this game. Washington, as we talked about, boys, before I get into your comments, they played, like you guys said and we said last week, with zero pressure. And we've been touting on Jaden Daniels all year saying, you know what, he's different.
Oh, he's the rookie of the year.
Yeah, he's not only the rookie of the year, he could be the greatest rookie quarterback of all time. Look at all the rookie quarterbacks, like your Ben Roethlisberger. He did get to a Super Bowl, but he ran on the coattails of Jerome Bettis and a huge, really good defense to beat my Seahawks. And he had the worst quarterback rating of all time in any Super Bowl for a Super Bowl winning quarterback. So it's not like he lit it up. Jaden Daniels is not riding the coattails of a star running back, of a star defense, of a star wide receiver core, anything. He is the one in command. He looks like a 6 to 7 year veteran. I've never seen a rookie, guys, play with such confidence and a smile on his face. And so that's number one. I left you a lot right there. And two, the Lions, boys, 4 big turnovers by Jared Goff after having such a great season. I know the Lions are banged up defensively, but you got to feel for that fan base. Go, Dominic.
Yeah, of course. You got to feel for the fan base. Anytime the last 2 years have proven anything to the Detroit Lions, and even the previous year before that, the last 3 years have been a total, uptick for the Lions and their fan base. But just like baseball, that number one seed comes back to bite you in the butt.
Mm-hmm.
I think nowadays, with the way the playoffs are constructed, getting that first round bye is not the way you want to go. Yes, the bye week is lovely. You get to rest, get healthy, get right. But when you have a team coming in that is on a roll, like the Commanders were, beating a very good Buccaneers team on the road in the way that they did, they're carrying all that momentum. And it's like a freight train, and you're dead stop in the middle of the tracks trying to be Superman and block that train from coming and basically throwing you off the cliff. And the Lions were not prepared and got thrusted off the cliff so quickly, you didn't even blink and they were gone. I don't think Detroit was prepared for it. I think they knew, like we all did, it was going to be a high-scoring game. I don't think they were going to have to play from behind. And I said this about Detroit for the longest time. I was always scared of their secondary. Their secondary was the one piece to their team that I said, if anybody's going to burn them, it's going to be that. Not just with injuries, talent. And even though I know their secondary, Joseph had the most interceptions and all these things, like Todd, you saw it when you Seattle played them in Monday night. Week 3, week 4, early on in the season, and that was a big scoring game. And the Niners, even though the Niners were clearly out of it by late December, threw up over 30 points on a Detroit team that was riding towards the number one seed. So there were instances where it's like, how much are they going to get by? And this is where the final hurdle kind of broke down, and that was that. So I think they still have the pieces around to contend into the number one seed and win their division for the next coming years. But yeah, this one has to sting. I'll let Matty go before we circle around, and then I'll get on Jaden Daniels and what he's done.
Yeah, let's start with Detroit there on Matt.
I mean, it was a shocker to say the least. You got the number one seed for a reason. You played for the number one seed. And I will say this. That was a good illustration. That was a good example you said, Dom. That was a good one. It's like stopping a freight train. You got this one team that's just been running, and then all of a sudden you're just, bam, you're tasked to stop it. If you ain't strong enough, they're going to truck you. And sure enough, that's what happened. Granted, Detroit did have some injuries. We're not going to make excuses. Nope. Jahmyr Gibbs played awesome. He is going to be a running back. Man, for a long time, he's going to be making some definitely Pro Bowls for a long time. That guy was a stud. He was the only reason why they was actually in the game, because Jared Goff went back to Rams Jared Goff. Hey, man, he looked like Sam Darnold. I ain't gonna lie. I'm just saying, it's like, wait, are they the same people? Come on, man. Like, dang, you're there. You get the number one seed for a reason. You gotta win this, man. And
home field advantage and everything.
Dude, I feel bad for the Lions organization and the Lions fan. Because like you said, Todd, watching football for a long time, Dom watched football. You remember the Lions of the 90s? Mm-hmm. Barry Sanders.
Yep.
Knocked on the door in, was it 91? 91. Knocked on the door and just couldn't do anything. And ever since then,
guess what? Guess what? Do you remember who they were eliminated by?
Was it Washington, right?
It was Washington. Yes,
Washington. They won. I think they won the Super Bowl that year.
Yeah, the eventual Super Bowl champions knocked them off.
Well, the funny stat was when they beat Tampa Bay last week, and since that game was on NBC, or as Todd would say, Peacock, in that sense, the last time the Commanders had won just a playoff game was 2005 when they were the Redskins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and who they beat? Tampa Bay in Tampa Bay.
That's right.
So 2 weeks in a row, they're going through that same trajectory, and it's funny how things kind of worked out. What Matty was talking about in the sense was, you feel bad for him, and Jared Goff kind of reverting back to the Rams days. But when you play a team that has nothing to lose, I would say the Commanders are maybe 3-4 years well ahead. We talk about the Chargers being ahead of the curve. right?
Mhm.
I think the Commanders are well ahead of where their even expectations were.
100%.
Year 2 of a new owner, and everything else that goes, all the turmoil that organization was in before the new owner. It was hell of impressive in that sense, I think, regardless. And I think the kiss of death for Dan Campbell and this Lions team, after you beat Minnesota 2 weeks ago, and you tell the coach, we'll see you in 2 weeks right back here for the divisional round, they get bounced, you get bounced.
And now the NFC is just flipped upside down.
Now the NFC's flipped upside down. So you have, it's strange things happen. It is weird how that kind of trajectory works in favor of the Commanders this year. So good job for Sonia.
Oh, go ahead, Matt.
Shut up. And I'm going to say this too. As a longtime Cowboys fan, to see both teams from the NFC East in the goddamn NFC Championship, especially Washington, because, like you said, their organization, the ownership hasn't been the greatest. But can we all say this, though? Who took over part ownership of Washington? Do you guys remember?
Magic Johnson.
You're goddamn right. And it's just crazy that this man, no matter where he go, he wins, and he wins big. When he was with the Lakers, he won 5. He's part owner of the Dodgers. What happened? I hate to admit it, but they turned into a freaking powerhouse, and they won a championship. Look, he took over Washington, and instantly they're in the NFC Championship. Something we ain't been since 1995. This hurts me. This hurts me because they're both my little rivals, and I have to pick one, and I got to root for one. I'm going to root for the lesser of the 2 evils, and so obviously I'm going for the Commanders. But with that being said, shout out to the Commanders. I was definitely shocked that they won, but I have to give credit to Jaden Daniels. That man, like you said, Todd, he's playing with poise. He's balling, man. He's been balling since day one. And there's no question who's the rookie of the year at this point. I know they don't take the playoff games into consideration, but I mean, come on, man. This guy's been killing it. Even AIDS can't stop Magic. He's beaten AIDS.
I know. He beat AIDS before it was cool to beat AIDS.
The only thing Magic Johnson can beat is LeVar Ball. Okay. Yeah. Not to get into basketball.
Well, he got rid of his son, so that was a way of beating him.
I will say this: Magic Johnson doesn't know. Like, he knows. I will give him financial savvy. He knows when to buy into something good.
Yeah.
So and he knows how to position himself because he's also a speakerhead. Or for the Dodgers and the Commanders as far as when they make signings and stuff like that, because the owners for the Dodgers just like being behind the scenes, and the same thing I think for the Commanders ownership. He doesn't really like being front and center, and what a great figurehead to have in Magic Johnson, who's always positive and always smiling.
You know what? I know what you mean by that positive, Todd. I know you, Todd.
His positivity is so radiant.
Stop so goddamn disrespectful. That man is a champion.
No, I will make one more statement to Mario's comment. He said they all have something to lose. They all made the playoffs. That is true. What I mean is the Commanders went in with no expectation. Like, the media was like, Jaden Daniels, rookie of the year. He's got to win to cement his rookie of the year set. Like, they had nothing going for them in the sense of like window closing, certain situations. The Chiefs, they have their three-peat on the line. Buffalo has Josh Allen's shadow. Lamar Jackson had all, everything about, is he a Super Bowl worthy quarterback, kind of aura going around against him. Then you had Detroit being the number 1 seed and the heavily favored team. The Rams with everything going on with LA Fires and being the underdog and starting off 1-4. And the Eagles. Yeah. And that. And then, of course, the Eagles getting Saquon Barkley in this first year and trying to, kind of fix the issues that happened at the end of last year. So every team has a story. The Commanders were kind of like that dewy-eyed schoolgirl first day in college, like, we're just happy to be here, but we're going to beat your ass while we're going to do it. So kind of under the radar, nothing to lose, but now NFC title game. Now, put your big boy pants on. This is game time. There is something to lose now. A trip to the Super Bowl.
Absolutely. And I got to say, with Ben Johnson, what Mario brought up earlier with him being hired as a coach, I think Chicago looked at him and was like, should we hire him? And then he made that play where it was like the pass to the receiver and then the pitch to the other receiver. I was like,
St. Brown.
Yeah, that was
and snuck in. And I've never seen a play like that before.
That was a sexy play. I got to say that. But then to go from that to we're down 2 scores. We need to get back in the game. We're driving. Let's give it to a receiver to throw a pass.
Yeah.
in a triple coverage. I was like,
But that was pretty much on point. Like we knew coming in this game, Dan Quinn and Dan Campbell are gluttons for gambling and going forward on 4th down. So you knew punters and kickers were not going to have, time to play in this game. But when you get the trick, Dan Campbell, I feel, does more trickery than Dan Quinn does. So I'm not shocked. But again, that comes from Ben Johnson, now the new Chicago Bears head coach. So are you going to see that next year with Caleb Williams? Probably. But I don't know if I see DJ Moore or Keenan Allen trying to utilize that. Keenan Allen did throw some passes in his day with the Chargers and kind of do some things with the old coaching regime of the Chargers. But I think a hire like that is going to be interesting to see where the Bears go with the 10th pick in the draft. I think it's the 10th pick, 9th, 10th pick in the draft. And going forward in free agency. It'll be interesting to see how much more weaponry they're going to give Caleb Williams to kind of recreate the Detroit Lions in the same division, by the way. Let's remember that.
Yeah, that's going to be very, very interesting. And to go back on Matt's comments about watching 2 divisional teams that are rivals playing in the championship game, I just had to go back to a couple years ago when it was the Rams and the Niners. Boy, I felt like throwing up every play. So I understand. I
felt the same way at the end of the game. I felt the same way.
Yeah. And look, I got one thing to say, and this Jerry ain't gonna hear this, and even if he did, he wouldn't give a damn. Man, this is how you own a team. Sit the freak back, shut up, sign the checks, and go away, and let the managers do their job. If you could do that, we could probably be back in the NFC Championship at least. This man done took over the goddamn Commanders, and look where they at right now. This is how you.
If you even had a direct line, even if you had a direct line to him, bro, you're right. He would not listen whatsoever.
That man is as stubborn as a mule.
I will say this:
he's the Artie Moreno of football.
Yes, no matter what happens, fellas, in my opinion, I think Detroit will be back there next year, fully healthy. Whatever, they got to recreate it. It's going to be harder for them. Because everyone will have a bullseye on their back because they are the number 1 seed. Washington is literally in a good cap space. And they're not going to be drafting high, but who cares? They've got a great foundation, a good coach. And like you guys said, an organization that's working together now. I mean, their future looks really bright. You can add more weapons. People are going to make Washington a destination again.
Well, I will. And to your point about Detroit having a bullseye on their back, I'm looking at their schedule for next year, and because they finished first and you're playing divisional teams and you're going to play first, this is their schedule. On the road, they have Baltimore, Chicago, Cincinnati, Green Bay, Kansas City, the Rams, the Vikings, the Eagles, the Commanders. And then at home, they have Tampa, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Giants, Dallas, Minnesota, Green Bay, Chicago.
Good luck with that.
That one I can guarantee right now. I'll say it proudly. Detroit will lose a minimum of 5 games because you ain't beating the Chiefs. That's a signal that out there. Baltimore will give them a run for their money. Baltimore does well against them right there. I think they may lose, depending how Cincinnati rebuilds. However Cincinnati does their thing. If Joe Burrow does what he does, that could be like a Monday Night Football shootout kind of game. So I could see that. Minnesota.
I say this with a rookie quarterback. I think they sweep Minnesota, but they split against Green Bay, and Chicago upsets them.
You think Chicago is going to upset Detroit?
I think so.
Ben Johnson wants to
in Chicago or in Detroit?
I don't know, but look, they played tough with them both times this year, and that's
I agree. And then you have them at the Commanders, so you're going to have a rematch of this game this weekend, and then they got to go to the Eagles.
Oh, they want that revenge. They want that.
So I'm thinking they lose between 4 to 6 games in that range just because of how hard their schedule is.
I could see that. And if Green Bay adds some more weapons and they're healthier on offense, and they could steal that division back from Detroit.
All I know is that if we get Deion Sanders, things might look great for us.
And we move on. I got my cue from the producer, Matt, to move on to the next game. So now we move on to Sunday, and that was it was a snow day, and the first of the 2 snow games was the Philadelphia Eagles and the Rocky theme, rocking it to the Rams from LA, trying to play for the fire and trying to play into that thing. This game got off to a good start. If you're an Eagles fan, it got dicey, and then the Eagles got a lead. Looked like it was comfortably over, even though they missed an extra point. But all of a sudden, the Rams give them credit. I mean, I hate this team. I will say it. I'm a big hater of them. And I hate the genius, but I hate him because he's usually right and usually makes the right calls, gets the best out of his players. And dagnummit, the Rams nearly made a comeback in this one. And they almost, they were making it very uncomfortable there until finally Philadelphia's defense held up. But with that being said, fellas, and question to you guys is thoughts on the Rams' effort in general, from start to finish, from the season all the way into the playoffs. And then 2, how good is Saquon Barkley, and how concerned are you on the offense going into the next round? Because Hurts has been like unimaginably terrible. He's not really good. The offense outside of Barkley is not really impressive. So thoughts on the Rams first, guys.
I agree with all the sentiments that Todd says. We're both NFC West people. We both don't like the Rams. That's the 2 things Seahawks and Niners fans can agree on. We don't like the Cardinals and we don't like the Rams. Like, those are 2 things we can always agree upon no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
So, starting 1-4 and rallying back, their season really took a turn in a positive way when they upset the Buffalo Bills at SoFi.
Yep. That's
where you knew they were contending and they were back. Because if they had lost that game, Seattle, welcome to the playoffs in that situation. Matthew Stafford can still do it at his age. It's becoming harder. He's getting older. Their running game isn't bad with Kyron Williams. Puka Nacua is nice. Cooper Kupp kind of vanished. I don't know. He said today his future's kind of up in the air. It's pretty much up to the Rams, and that would be a very big change. I think they keep him because he's still a core part to their offense. But I'll give him credit. That defense was nowhere. I didn't think their defense was going to play as good as it did this year.
Dude, bunch of no-namers, and he got the best out of them.
He got the best out of the defense, and that the rookie defensive lineman of Verse.
Yeah, number 8.
He could be something special moving forward to the Rams. That's going to be somebody to look after.
Yep.
I think, again, like Dan Campbell and the Lions, when you run your mouth, you're going to get bit in the ass. And Verse, as a rookie, opened up his mouth, talking crap about the Eagles and their fan base going into their building, like not a smart idea. Mm-hmm. But again, it's the chippiness of the rivalry and the matchup for a divisional game. But I'll give props. Yes, I don't like Sean McVay, but does he get the best out of his players? Absolutely. Does he have people buying into what he's selling?
Yeah,
absolutely. It doesn't matter what. And the Rams, for what everybody talks about of how much they gave up to get Matthew Stafford, and to still be where they are right now with the lesser amount of what they have. I'm not sure if it's this upcoming draft or the next draft when they get some, draft stock back. But they're maybe not going to go quietly into the sunset that maybe we thought of as quickly because of what they accomplished this year.
Now, before Matt gives his take on the Rams, I will say this, and I agree with what you're saying, Dominique. I'll just throw this little nugget in there.
Yeah.
This is what good ownership and going off of what Matt was saying too, good ownership does, because if you think about it, there's a salary cap for only players. There's not a salary cap for personnel, coaches, scouts. And you could see that Kroenke is one of the most richest owners in the league, and his drive to win and keep them good he put an entire staff in there that are really well versed in NFL knowledge, and that's why you're getting with a great coaching staff too. a good quality with not that much, with not having draft picks, like you said. And that kind of tells you something where the Jaguars are, because the richest owner in the NFL is Sahir, or what is his name is? I forget his name.
Yeah.
Shakan
or Rock on, Shakan, whatever.
It's something Khan. It's not Shere Khan, but I know it's one of the Khans. But the point is that dude has more money than all of them, and he can't put together a winning culture or set a winning culture. Can't hire the right people. It's all how you run an organization. And I hate the Rams like you hate the Rams, but I will give them props because they do it right. Matt,
the fact that you're giving the Rams props, both of you guys, man,
it hurts.
Great.
It hurts. Hey, we're on a Monday night instead of a Tuesday. Maybe we had a little empathy tonight.
That's probably
exactly.
It's a new dawn.
No, shout out to the Rams. They were an underdog as well, and they fought, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. If it wasn't for Saquon Barkley, Philly lose that game. Man, the Rams defense stepped up. They were sacking Jalen Hurts. Matter of fact, they knocked him out the game at one play and hurt his knee. I don't know if that's factoring in for next week. Let's see if he's going to be able to play next week, or if not, he might be a little hobbled. So advantage to the Commanders right there. Go for that leg. But yeah, like I said, Saquon was the only reason Philly won this game. This dude has been on a tear since he got here. And I'm telling you, I've been saying he's definitely runners up for MVP. I know they don't really give MVPs to running back. I think the last one was Adrian Peterson that got an MVP. But he is the shining light for Philly. Philly didn't really play that great of a game. I mean, it really wasn't. I mean, the Rams had many of the opportunities, and I think if it wasn't snowing, oh man, Rams would be win that game 9 times out of 10. If Philly played the way they played, Rams win that game 9 times out of 10.
Now, what do you think?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I agree. Better footing. I think the Rams win that game straight up. I mean, there was a couple plays where had they gotten better footing, they make catches or they stay on their feet and make bigger plays. And I can't really say that for the Eagles, because the Eagles looked like they had never played on snow. Like Hurts, when he did the play action, would roll out. He looked very tentative, and that was before he got the injury, guys. So the throws were not crisp either. I thought Stafford looked like he's been playing in snow forever. The pocket held up for him better. I know he had that fumble and everything. Yeah, but he'll fumble from time to time. It's where Hurts, was taking some sacks, like Matt brought up. But Dominic, man, snow or no snow, moving into the championship game. We haven't looked at the weather yet. Won't get into that when we do our predictions. But, are you confident in the Eagles moving forward? I mean, don't give your pick away, but are you confident that the offense can perform?
I'll say this. I'm not thrilled with the Eagles offense. Like Jalen Hurts, 15 of 20 for 128 yards. He was sacked 7 times. That Rams defense came out hard. Saquon, 205 yards and a pair of touchdowns. Damn. But the receivers, like right now, the Eagles are turning into a dink and doink kind of team. Short, check down passes, get your blocks out and go. When Dallas Goedert is your leading receiver, when you have guys like A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Now, again, this was snow, so, kind of put an asterisk by this statement. But still, if Goddard's your leading receiver, that tells me it's more inside slants, short routes, and they're looking for blocks because they're trying to set up the run first and then just short out the passing game. If that's their style of offense and what they want to do, perfectly fine. But Jalen Hurts still has got to make those throws, and you still got to find a way to incorporate A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Chuck it down every so often to those guys that know how to go 30, 40, 50 yards for a pass. I just don't know, in all honesty, what Jalen Hurts' health is going into this game. Like, the knee looked to be a problem after the hit. He was out, concussion issues the last couple weeks of the season. So is Jalen Hurts 100% at this point right now? I'm going to say, snow or no snow, he's maybe fueling 80% right now. And Saquon Barkley's at 150% carrying that weight load. Because where was it? You're telling me twice the Eagles have the ball inside the 2 and there's no tush push. After being the creators of the tush push, now I know the second time they were inside the 5 was after the knee, was the possession after Kyron Williams fumbled it. They got down, only got a field goal. So, okay, you're probably trying to protect him a little bit. You don't know how his knee's going to respond. But early on in the game, when they had a tush push opportunity and they don't do it, that tells me something isn't copacetic, or that maybe that tells you how good the Rams defensive line was in penetrating that offensive line and getting through, whatever the case may be. But like you said, Todd, snow or no snow, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 mean I trust my life with this Eagles offense and Jalen Hurts. I'm at a 5 because of Saquon Barkley. It would probably be at a 3 if Saquon didn't exist.
True.
That's where I'm at.
You said, how confident am I in Philly?
Yes.
I'm going to say this. I'm probably at a 20% because they're still a pretty good team. And right now, they're the favorite in the NFC. We don't know if the snow factored in. I'm going to say that. And also,
I think the wet hands, the fumbling factor, I think that did more damage than anything else.
Yeah, because like you said, Dallas Goedert was their leading receiver, and it makes sense because when it snows, what do? You run the ball because the ball's slippery. You can't, its chances are you won't be able to make those catches like you normally do. So let's see if it's not snowing next week. Who knows? They might play a lot better. But it's that injury, man. That injury to Hurts, and not only that, Hurts hasn't been playing that well the last 5 games. It's been the Saquon Barkley show, and I feel like he's been relying on him heavily to carry that load, and which he has been doing. There's nothing wrong with that. So if it's working, don't change it up. But you need that quarterback play in order to win the big games. You need that quarterback to be there. You can't rely on the running back to win you a Super Bowl. You need the quarterback to win you a Super Bowl. So hopefully, like I said, if it was the snow, we'll give him another shot. So I give him a 20%. I'm at a 20%.
Okay.
But I want to see the Commanders win, man. I do. I really do.
I will say in the comments, there was one post from Sonia. She said that Stafford's wife posted that he's contemplating retirement.
He might as well. He got a ring.
For Todd and I's sake, for the NFC West sake, Stafford retires. Do the Rams just elevate Jimmy G to their starting quarterback position, or do they go out and get a Kirk Cousins?
I think they would have to draft someone in the 2nd or 3rd, and then probably go out with a veteran. But
yeah,
Sean McVay can make Jimmy G a good quarterback.
He did against us. He looked good. He did. Just saying. Now, speaking of 2 quarterbacks, fellas, then we're going to get into the final game. Bills and Ravens. This one lived up to the hype. This one was really good. Now, the problem I have with these 2 teams and the way that the media likes to cover them, because the Chiefs are always put ahead of them for obvious reasons. But it's always Josh Allen isn't good enough, or Lamar Jackson shouldn't have won the MVP, or he should have, or Josh Allen should have won it. And then they say, well, this guy doesn't deserve to be there. Why does he get the limelight? And they try to make it anywhere from racist to freaking where they play, just butting them against each other. And they can't be any nicer to each other, as you saw at the end of this game. But this is, again, I think so much pressure on these 2 teams that the media and their fan bases are like, okay, guys, one of you guys has to get over the hump, not only of each other, but to get over the hump of the Chiefs the next round. Like, you got to get past them, and you got to win a Super Bowl. It's like Super Bowl or bust. Yep. Tremendous pressure on both these guys. The game kind of like it looked like the Bills were going to run away with it, but then credit the Ravens, second half, shut down the Bills, made it close. The Bills maintained the edge no matter what with 2 failed 2-point conversions. And then Mark Andrews, man, with 2 critical in this game, a fumble and then a drop. Then you had also Lamar with a fumble that was returned by Von Miller and an interception. And those 3 turnovers and that drop where I think the keys to the Ravens losing, did the better team win or did the better team lose? Let's start with that, and then we'll get into the quarterbacks.
I think the better team won. I think Buffalo is the better team. Now, I know I was dumb enough to pick Baltimore last week, even though I have Buffalo in my other picks, but, you're going on momentum. And Buffalo had a cakewalk against Denver. And yes, you could say Baltimore had a cakewalk against Pittsburgh, but at least their game was a divisional rival and it had a little more, juice to it in a sense. But I think Buffalo is very similar in certain ways to the Commanders. Not that they don't have anything to play for, but they've been told all year they're undersized, they're undermanned, they're led by one person. Like it's Josh Allen and Jaden Daniels. When anybody talks about the Commanders, they're talking about Daniels. When they talk about the Bills, they're talking about Josh Allen. And everybody else kind of goes to the wayside. So for that defense to step up the way it did and halt Lamar, Derrick Henry was limited with just 84 yards and a tutty, which by him is an extremely pedestrian day. And Mark Andrews having a tough season, had a little bit of a resurgence over the last 5 to 6 weeks, and then drops at the most ill-will timed. I still am going to credit the Buffalo Bills for forcing Baltimore into these situations, because the interception, Buffalo made that happen. You found the right route. Lamar throws it, you pick it, you do your business. The drop, okay, that's on Mark Andrews, okay? And the fumble, okay, Lamar Jackson losing the ball, but someone's still got to get on top of it. And they defensively for Buffalo on Sunday put the foot on the throat of Baltimore and did not allow them to get comfortable in the offense that they are accustomed to, and more so Lamar Jackson.
I'm going to say this. Weather, definitely the snow factored in. Baltimore, I think, beat themselves, because if those mistakes don't happen, the Bills capitalized on those mistakes, so if those mistakes don't happen, hey, man, we might be a totally different ballgame, because Lamar actually was playing pretty good. He actually played pretty. We can't blame this on Lamar this time. I know a lot of naysayers are negative on Lamar. This wasn't Lamar's fault. Snow is the factor, of course. The ball's slippery and whatnot. Even with Mark Andrews missing that catch at the end, you blame it on the snow? I don't know. He had it there. He makes that catch 10 times out of 10 on fair weather, but maybe the snow factored in. I don't know, but I think Baltimore beat themselves. I really do. Baltimore, it seems like the better team. They were favored by a point. So coming in, obviously, they were the favorite team. But you got to give credit to Buffalo still, though. So give credit to Buffalo. But I think Baltimore beat themselves in this game.
Now, let me ask you guys a question before we get into the quarterbacks. I saw someone online say, well, if Andrews makes that catch, Josh Allen still has about 1:30 or something to play with.
Yeah.
But they said that with the Bills and their luck, he gets them into field goal range and they miss. And then the Ravens take the ball and score in overtime.
Yeah.
They said that's what the script, if there was an NFL script, that's what it would have came to. Do you guys agree?
Sure. Yeah, I think so, because there's always those situations where it's Baltimore, as you both said, was trending in the right direction in the second half. They made the adjustments. They got close. If Andrew makes that catch, tie it up at 27, it's Buffalo. One little gust of wind can take that ball straight and whoop, there it goes.
Yeah.
It's just that, situation out there on the East Coast. But I think you could play the what ifs all day long. I think, I'm pretty sure some of the field goal attempts that Buffalo made, you could ask them straight up, we should have scored touchdowns, and it should have never been that close. We should have never let them back in that game. And Baltimore, as Maddie said, we don't turn over the ball and give them the chance to capitalize on turnovers. It's a completely different ball game. So I think you're going to get very similar answers with each different situation for both squads. But one team has to win, one team has to lose. The main goal for me personally, I wanted the better team to win. I don't care who won as long as you beat the damn Chiefs next week. You know, it's one of those. If it was Lamar, great. If it was Josh Allen, great. I'm voting for you. I don't care. Like, it was one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm happy for Josh Allen, though. I will say that. And like you said, this was the only game where it was like, I honestly didn't know. I picked Ravens just because they were favored. But this was that one game where it was like, man, whoever wins, I'm happy for them because both quarterbacks have been criticized and scrutinized for a few seasons now, and you feel bad for whoever loses. So you feel bad for Lamar, but you're happy for Josh. He's got another opportunity to get to the Super Bowl finally and beat the Chiefs. So
yeah, because here's the thing I want to ask you, Matt, real quick, if I could break in. 3-5 now is Lamar Jackson in the postseason. 41-4 or something, 47-4 as far as touchdowns and interceptions. He had a phenomenal season. Phenomenal season by Henry. And, defense is probably the first time they've taken a step back. But that usually happens when you score a lot of points. But he's getting scrutinized as far as the only quarterbacks, he's beaten some subpar quarterbacks and lost to some good ones. He doesn't get his chance to get over that Mahomes hump, because Mahomes has kept a lot of AFC quarterbacks down.
Yeah.
Now Josh Allen has had the same kind of similar playoff experience. He gets his shot at Mahomes for their legacy, Matt. Obviously, does this help Allen's legacy, or does he have to get over that Chiefs hump?
He's got to get over that Chiefs hump, no question, man, because no matter whatever you did in the regular season, and even if you got to the NFC Championship, none of that matters. No one remembers that. They remember Super Bowl winners and the Super Bowl games. Even if you get to the Super Bowl, if you don't win, nobody's going to really remember you. So it won't matter. He's got to get over that hump, because until he does, Josh Allen will be known as probably one of the greatest regular season quarterbacks.
And you know what? It's Dominic. I think it can come down to what Matt said for both these quarterbacks. The clock is ticking. They are in their prime. They've got to win a Super Bowl.
I agree. And I think, and I said this last week, talking about, okay, whoever wins this game, we'll talk about it now of who is going to hurt from this game more. Of course, it's going to be the losing quarterback if they both play well. And both of them played well. Of course, Allen better than Lamar in this game due to wins and losses. But, of course, this is going to hurt Lamar a little bit, because you get to the dance, you play at an MVP level, you got Derrick Henry this year, you were able to elevate that offense to another level, and it stales in the second round of the postseason, and you can't get to that rematch against Mahomes from opening night for a chance to go to the dance. On the flip side, Josh Allen, you've had this conversation before. Allen, Mahomes. They've gone to title games, divisional rounds before, regular season matchups, and it's always the same conversation. And I think it'd be the same conversation if Lamar was there with Mahomes and Jackson and all that situation. So right now, I think a lot is on the line for Josh Allen going into this week, because they know what's at stake. Yeah, you beat Kansas City for Kansas City's first loss of the season, and trust me, the Chiefs aren't going to forget that. And you're going into a hostile environment in Kansas City, and it will be different. I know Mario put in the chat, this is kind of like Tom and Eli 2.0. I can see that. The thing is, I think people would say Mahomes is the Brady and Josh Allen's the Eli Manning, just on the way they play.
Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning, and just on the way that they play the game. But if you call it, let's say Brady against Eli Manning, when it comes to the Super Bowls, and Eli always had Tom Brady's, backside, Josh Allen doesn't have that to Patrick Mahomes yet. So this is a huge, huge stepping stone in the right direction. And for Josh Allen to have weapons, but they're not as, the notoriety is not as there. Like James Cook has really helped the running game open up things on the offense.
100%.
But losing a year after losing Stephon Diggs, which everybody thought that was going to be a detriment to the Bills, Khalil Shakir steps up. Even though when they got Amari Cooper, that's going to help immensely. Amari Cooper has had one good game with the Buffalo Bills this year.
Very true.
He's been irrelevant. Dalton Kincaid, who was a top 5 tight end last year, he's been irrelevant this year. And, they have a couple other kind of guys, Samuel and Malik Hollins, and, a couple of guys that'll get 2-3 catches a night for 30 yards and nothing crazy. Josh Allen's doing this. So, I think this will help his legacy out. And what hurts Lamar too, final thought, his division is so much tougher than Josh Allen. He has at least 4 playoff games in the regular season, Cincinnati and Pittsburgh, all the time. And he gets over the hump then, but he can't do it in the postseason. Again, it's a team sport, but it just makes it even tougher. It's like, we beat them twice in the regular season, but when it mattered, we shit the bed. It's hard.
Yeah, today's culture, they don't give the wins and losses to coaches anymore. They usually give them to the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Exactly. So,
True.
if we gave wins and losses to the coaches like back in the day, Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh would probably be out of a job. How many times, and this is not a knock on them as coaches, but we talked about it with Mike Tomlin last week. 7 straight postseasons, no postseason wins. Baltimore's gone deep into the postseason, haven't been to the Super Bowl since 2013 when they beat my Niners in the Beyonce, I'm going to shut the power off in New Orleans. Funny enough. So when you sit in that situation, it's like, is it time? Like, do these coaches is like I talked about last week, and I got flack for it. Is Mike Tomlin's program stale to the players where they're just like, we're going to tune it out. We know what you're going to say. We just got to go execute, and you go coach and we go play. Is that the same thing with John Harbaugh? I don't think so with Baltimore. I think he's respected, and I think Tomlin's respected too. But if you're an ownership group, are you like, we have great coaches and great consistency, but maybe should we move on to get over the hump, or is it a player personnel issue? Like, what side of the frame are we on? So Baltimore and Pittsburgh are kind of, in weird ways, in very similar situations.
True. Matt, final thoughts on this one?
No, Dom took everything. It took his word right out of my mouth, man. For real. I mean, yeah, he took it.
Okay.
Well, I'll ask you guys then, just to see who between Baltimore and Pittsburgh, since again very similar situations, what would be the remedy to get over their own personal humps? Baltimore to get to the title game / Super Bowl, and Pittsburgh to finally break that 7-year curse of bouncing in their first playoff game.
Honestly, the only remedy Baltimore would probably need is seeding, probably, and competition, because they had Derrick Henry this year. They had a pretty solid receiving core. Zay Flowers, probably not your best wide receiver one, but he played pretty good. Maybe a receiver might help him, but I don't know. But they had players, and they just lost. They just lost to the best team, I guess. So I always say like competition. Maybe Bills get eliminated in the first round, and then they play like a Steelers team in the second round. That's probably the only way they can get ahead and avoid certain teams. That's probably it.
Yeah, I think the Steelers got to get over it. They got to get back to a Super Bowl. That's a franchise that I think has second most Super Bowls next to the Patriots, which is still hard to say, but and hard to believe. But yeah, they need to get over the hump. I think as far as the Ravens, they got to get to a title too. I mean, if both those teams, it's Super Bowl or bust. If Cleveland or Cincinnati gets to the Super Bowl and they lose, it's like, oh man, that's a bummer. But at least they're happy to be there. The Steelers and Ravens can't be happy to be there. They got to win it all. So
yeah.
Now, with that being said, division round's over. We recapped that. We don't have the numbers from last week because obviously Randy's sick, so he's not able to fill in and give us the numbers. And so we'll try to.
I was 2-2, so I know I didn't win.
Yeah.
We'll 2 as well, so I didn't win.
I think I was as well. So we'll have to see what happens. When Randy comes back. But with that being said, guys, it's championship weekend next Sunday.
Teams.
And we have a game at Lincoln Financial that will be played at 12 p.m. The weather is 39 degrees, but it will dip down to as low as 28 degrees with a bit of a wind chill, and you will have a chance of snow flurries. Nothing that like last week, but you may have a chance of snow flurries. The lowest ticket price for this one is $540.
Ooh. Start
Yes.
selling your cheesesteaks now, folks.
Oh, yeah. I mean, no cheesesteaks for an entire year. Philly is a 6-point favorite, despite as good as the Commanders have been playing, despite the Eagles' struggles on offense. 47.5 is your total points. Fellas, this is the third matchup between two division rivals, of course. Washington lost the first game 26-18, and then they would beat the Eagles 36-33 in their final matchup, which I think some of the stars were resting for that one. So it wasn't really a true victory, but still, they split during the regular season. Is this a Rocky type Super Bowl for the Eagles, a redemption run for Sirianni, or is this the Commanders doing their own version of a Rocky theme, coming from nowhere to get to the big game, fellas? Let's get your predictions, and then I'll top mine off after. We'll start with Dominic.
I think this is a very, very intriguing match because you know what they say about playing your divisional rival a third time, with the third time being in the playoffs. The Niners did it against the Rams, won the first two, lost the NFC title game a couple years back. So with them splitting that last game that the Commanders won 36-33, that was the game Jalen Hurts in the first quarter went out with a concussion. That was the Kenny Pickett game.
Mm-hmm.
So Jalen Hurts only playing them once, close game both times around. Saquon Barkley ran crazy against the Commanders. He's been that good so far. I think the offense runs through Saquon Barkley. But hell, I'm a sucker for an underdog. I'm going to pick the Commanders in this game.
Wow.
There is a lot on the line, and I know the Eagles want redemption after that 36-33 loss. They're going to want it very badly, especially losing in the last 10 seconds. But there's something about this team where Jaden Daniels, he's finding anybody. You don't care if you're Terry McLaurin, Austin Eckler, Brian Robinson Jr., you will get the ball. He will find people. And with as good as the Eagles' defense is, especially their up front pressure, the Commanders' offensive line, if they're on their game and protecting Jaden Daniels, or if he is as mobile as he needs to be to get out of pressure and create plays, that's going to find success for the Commanders. Very close game. Are we doing scores for both games?
Yes, we are.
Okay. I'm going to go, you said cool temperatures, maybe a little light snow. I think 36-33, the way they scored the last time, I think that's an overshot. I'm going to go, I'll go 27. Now, 30-27 Commanders.
Okay.
I think there'll be a point in this game while they're going to exchange scores. Like, you score 7 plays, we're going to go score a touchdown in 6 plays. Like, kind of that feed off of energy type of situation. Could be early, could be late, but I'll go 30-27 Commanders with Dan Quinn heading to New Orleans.
Ooh, interesting. Matt.
Ooh, man. This is actually going to be a pretty great game. I think it's definitely going to go over the 47 that Vegas is saying. It might even be like the score from the last game, 36-33. I'm going with the Commanders on this one, man. I like the underdog story. Look, Dan Quinn has got this team balling, and a good coach can motivate anyone to slay Goliath. And right now, that Phillies team is the Goliath, and Commanders have been playing like the David, just challenging. They beat the Buccaneers, and then they definitely took down the Goliath last week. And now they got another one, this baby Goliath. And, at divisional games, man, they're tough, man. So I got the Commanders in this one in a shootout. And I think they win by 8 points because I can see the game going to where Philly might need a 2-point conversion to win. or they need to score a touchdown on a 2-point conversion, and I think they stop them. So I'm going to say the score will be somewhere between like 35 to 27.
Okay. Well, let me give you my take on it. I let you guys go first for a reason. I wanted to hear what you guys were thinking. Again, I would love for the Redskins to be there, but this is the Commanders, and I'm not making this pick because of that. I really have been toting high on Jaden Daniels this year. I love what Dan Quinn's been doing. I'm going to reiterate a lot of what you guys are saying, but something tells me, look, here's what I'm going to say. What's going to come down for me. I can see Jaden Daniels and the Commanders getting to the Super Bowl, and that will probably be one of the best coaching jobs / rookies of all time. Even if they lose a Super Bowl by 50, for them to do what they've done this season, to rise from the ashes and to be the team that they are,
100%.
they have everything to be proud of in the nation's capital. But something just tells me that the will of Saquon Barkley, and I don't believe in Jalen Hurts, but something is telling me I don't think the Commanders have it in them. I think that there's just, they have it in them, but I should say, I think the veteran spirit of the Eagles is just going to make a play or two at the right time.
What you trying to say, Todd?
I'm going to go with the Eagles in a 4-point game. I think the Eagles squeak one out against the Commanders 28-24.
Like you said, I think the biggest key is if the Commanders can limit Saquon, this is their game to win. Because
absolutely.
If I'm the Commanders and you're looking at Jalen Hurts, prove to me, Jalen, that you can throw the ball. We're not going to let Saquon beat us. Prove that you can throw the ball. If you beat us by throwing it, then we get it. You're a complete team because we know Saquon can do his business. There's no questions asked. Beat us by the throw. And if he can't do that, then the Commanders need to haul ass and kick ass. So I get it if they can stop. But if Saquon goes crazy, the Eagles will probably win that game.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So with that being said, we only have one other game to cover, and that moves us over to the AFC in the evening time for the Kansas City Chiefs on their way to try to three-peat, but they have one team in their way, and that's the Buffalo Bills, who have been scratching, kicking, and clawing for another opportunity to beat the great Mahomes in his house. And in his house, fellas, the temperature will be reported at 17 degrees. However, you have wind gusts that can kick up to 22 miles per hour.
Good Lord.
That could make the actual real temperature feel -3 degrees.
Ooh.
This
Yummy.
This is going to be a refrigerator game. Man, oh man. This is going to be a crazy game there in Kansas City. So with that being said, Bills, Chiefs, this is for all the marbles. The question is, can the Chiefs do something that the NFL has never seen? They've never even forget about a team winning a third Super Bowl. The NFL has never seen a team go 3 straight times as a winner. We've seen them go 4 straight as a loser, but we've never seen 3 times as a winner. Can the Bills stop the Chiefs?
This is going to be another matchup for the ages. We've discussed it so many times. Mahomes, Allen, this is what the buildup is going to be all week long. The press questions, the coaching questions, everything involved. In order to cement that legacy, this has to be a day of Josh Allen. He has to find a way. And honestly, this Buffalo defense needs to find a way as well. They know from all their experience, don't leave time for Patrick Mahomes. Don't do this. Don't do that. So on and so forth. What's going to be a difference maker in this game with the weather? Josh Allen effectively runs the ball when no flags come in. Let's put the disclaimer out there. Josh Allen effectively runs the ball better than Patrick Mahomes does. He just does. He's bigger. He's stronger. He's more effective. That's no debate. But again, when you have the refs in your back pocket and you flop, and that's another story. 12th man, baby. I know Seattle should take some copyright infringement laws and get some free money from Mahomes. Josh Allen can effectively run. So if it gets cold and it gets windy again, it can't throw the ball. And James Cook has been running very well. That's going to help Buffalo more than it's going to help Kansas City in this situation. At the end of the day, as I said earlier, I don't care who won Buffalo against Baltimore as long as you beat the Chiefs. Well, it's Buffalo. So guess what? Let's go Bills Mafia. I'm taking the Bills in this game. I think the third time is the charm. Get the job done. Prevent us from suffering the heartache of Kansas City in New Orleans with Taylor Swift and the whole mumbo jumbo, because let's be real. Let's be real.
I thought you liked Taylor Swift, Dom.
God no. God no. God no. If the Chiefs win, and let's say, for example, it's Chiefs-Eagles, it's a repeat of 2 years ago when they were in Arizona. Okay. If it's Chiefs against the Commanders, ain't nobody talking about the Commanders for 2 straight weeks. It's going to be all Chiefs all the time. Mama Kelsey's going to be out. Jason Kelsey's going to go from ESPN to Fox and do all this. It's going to be, give me Josh Allen, because I think it's his time. It's this team's time. And God save the United States of America from this thing. Please. I don't care what it takes. Give a limb, give a kidney, give half a brain, a CTE. I don't care. Just get the job done. Score prediction-wise, 27-24 Buffalo, because the Chiefs have been playing more lower-scoring games than we're accustomed to. So 27-24, very reminiscent to what the Bills had to play with against Baltimore, that tight-knit game.
And you're on point. Tickets going as low as $275. I forgot to bring up the Chiefs are a 2-point favorite, so you're having them cover, or you're having the Bills cover those points.
Well, there you go. Take it to the bank.
There you go. Matt, your prediction.
Man, I honestly, in my heart, want Josh Allen to win. I really do. I want, just for him, like he deserves it. I want the Bills to win just to change it up, man. No one wants to see the same team winning over and over and over again. That's just honestly. However, I don't know, man. Last week showed me something, that Vegas is behind the Chiefs. And if they are, they will not allow the Chiefs to lose. So I will go by default and pick the Chiefs to win, because I think that's what is supposed to happen. So give me the Chiefs to win.
Score?
I'm looking at, they ain't scoring more than 30. So I'm with Dom, like somewhere between 27-20, maybe a 27-20.
Okay, 27-20.
Yeah.
I'll give you my 2 cents on this one. I used to believe in the whole football gods type thing, where, certain things could not be allowed. And forever and ever, you heard, man, there's just every time it looks like there's going to be a game in the Super Bowl that goes to overtime, something happens and we don't go to overtime. Brady makes a pass, a Vinatieri field goal. We saw it time in, time out. There was games that could have went to overtime and didn't. And it took Brady against Atlanta to get that done. Now he's been considered the GOAT. The GOAT number 2 is Patrick Mahomes. And I everyone's been saying for years, man, the Niners couldn't do it in their prime, a three-peat. The Cowboys couldn't do it in their prime, a three-peat. The Steelers, and so on and so on and so on. And there's just something to it where I want to believe it will never happen. But I'm going to try to stick with the football gods, because everything is telling me, Todd, don't do it. You're going to set yourself up like Bills Mafia to be very disappointed, and you're going to want to bust through a table yourself after the Chiefs get a victory because of stupid flag. What
you trying to say, Todd?
Come on, join me in the Holy Land. Come on, join me.
Set it out, Todd. What you trying to say, man?
Todd, we can at least be misery together. That's all I'm saying.
Dom, we're on the couch for a reason. I'm joining you, my friend.
Join me. Let's go.
Let's go, Buffalo.
Take it with your chest out, Todd. Okay,
let's go. Man,
I got Buffalo barely winning. I'm gonna say 25-24. Like they win on a
game-winning field goal.
Yeah, or a 2-point conversion.
That's what I was saying. Hey, what's the cover? What's the spread? 2?
It's 2 points for the Chiefs.
I guarantee you the Chiefs will be up by 4 4, and they're gonna run it into the safety at the end of the game, and they come.
There's your 2.
I guarantee it. That's how the game is gonna end.
The true gods, for redemption and payback would be if the game was on the line, and let's say Chiefs are up by 2, and Buffalo's trying to go down for a field goal, and there's one throw to get down as time under 30 seconds, and very apropos, a late flag that goes against the Chiefs that sets up the Bills for a walk-off field goal, and it happens, and you have everybody on Buffalo like Cincinnati did a couple years ago saying it was Burrowhead instead of Arrowhead. It'd be like Allen something or Buffalo Mafia something like that would be so poetic. And then CBS will just cut to Taylor Swift in the booth, or maybe they won't because she can't be put in negative light. So either way, but I agree with Sonia. The NFL wants the script of the Chiefs win it all so Travis can propose to her on the stage at the Super Bowl. If in a world where the Chiefs make it to the Super Bowl and let's say they win in 3P and he does propose live on national television, that will be the official sign that this was all 3 years in the works. Come on.
Well, I think not only would he propose to her, I think he would retire at the same time. You go out a 3-time champion.
Andy Reid would marry them right then and there.
He would. I think he would be ordering from that menu that it gets some misconstrued as a playbook. Because
Roger Goodell would give his stamp of approval. The celebrities that would be there. It's and who doesn't want to get married in New Orleans?
Yeah.
By the way, Sonia made a point. Whenever Clay Martin referees the game for the Chiefs, they always win. And this Sunday, he will not. So let's see what happens.
Well, the predictor was was Eagles Ravens, I think, was the leaked script online. Baltimore's not in anymore, but the Eagles are there. So it's is it a half-right script? Because last year, remember, it was the color scheme of the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
Purple and red, so they were Niners and Ravens. Mm-hmm. And then half of that plan was correct, and the other. So it's what half are we talking about here with this leaked script?
Yeah, we'll definitely have to see what's up. But it's going to be something.
It's actually pretty good.
I do not like that. I love those commercials, but that dude smiles too much. I was telling Steve Leaks the other day, I think they made that guy look a little, little slow. The kicker, the soccer kicker in those State Farm commercials, where he keeps saying "bundle his life," and I'm like, it made him look pretty stupid right there.
But then you also think
I smile a lot.
No,
I smile for a reason.
Yes.
No, you also looked at the Super Bowl too for more conspiracy theories. Just thinking of them now. Super Bowl's on Fox. Who's the commentator on Fox?
Mm-hmm.
GOAT, Tom Brady. How apropos, if you're a pro Chiefs fan, that the Chiefs get the 3-peat with GOAT number 2 in front of GOAT number 1.
Passing the buck, passing the torch.
Don't tell me the NFL wouldn't be thrilled with that, because don't tell me they ain't going to send Tom Brady down to the trophy ceremony to.
Oh yeah, he'll personally hand it off to him for sure.
Yeah. Come on, there's some PR moments that could be drummed up if Kansas City gets there.
What's that old saying, Dom? Money talks.
Oh,
no, yeah.
I'm just saying. Let
me tell you something too, and we'll have a chance to touch on this briefly after the conference championship games next week when we recap them. By the way, the Pro Bowl is a waste of time.
Yeah,
I think that is the dumbest crap I have ever seen, and they're trying to hype that sucker up with the Manning brothers, and anybody cares. I mean, I was trying to tell Steve Lease, I'm like, dude, half those tickets are given away, right? There's no one clamoring to see that shit.
It is the worst. I think baseball might have the best All-Star game.
Yeah, and even then, Steve Lease was telling me, she's like, yeah, but they took the fun out of it. I go, yeah, but growing up, it was just a spectacle. I know they, playing for home field made it worth something to some people. Some people don't like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, baseball still has the best game. Hockey's a joke. The NBA is unwatchable, and now the NFL is completely unwatchable.
Like if I turn on the Pro Bowl, it's literally just to watch the Manning brothers make fun of each other.
Yeah.
Like, and at least
pretty good at.
that gives me comedy relief for about 20 minutes, and then it's like, oh shit, there is football on. Hold on a second.
Well, you know what I do when the Pro Bowl comes on? Something else. You know? Anything else.
It's perfect timing. Exactly. Yeah. God.
So with that being said, guys, we've got our picks. If you guys want to leave them in the chat, we will have it up there for next week. We just didn't have Randy around. He's our producer to the stars. So hopefully he feels better and we should be good to roll next week. So final thoughts, fellas, as we made our picks into championship week. We've gone through a long season.
Season.
Yeah, and we'll get to the final, recap next week, and then we'll do our Super Bowl pick'ems the week of, and we'll see where it goes. But final thoughts, guys.
Man, I think definitely the divisional round was way more entertaining than the wild card weekend. I think that was safe to say much better this week. There's a lot on the line for both teams, plenty of storylines to go about it, but I think it'd be a really good Super Bowl. Buffalo and the Commanders, two franchises that have had highs, lows, 50 feet of crap and more lows type situation. Like, look at the Commanders. That says a lot. Look at Buffalo and all their turmoil that losing Super Bowls and getting close to the dance, never being at it. So I think that would be a breath of fresh air, as Maddie said earlier. That would be a nice breath of fresh air and a different change of pace for the Super Bowl in a year that we all agreed that this year made no freaking sense.
None.
With fantasy, with quarterbacks, with everything, all intents and purposes, it would be very poetic that would be the Super Bowl matchup. And I'm all for it. I don't care who wins. Like, go have at it. Let me enjoy it on an entertainment basis.
There you go.
My final thoughts are this year has been one of those funky years in football. Like you said, fantasy was horrible this year. I didn't win that one league. And just the surprise teams this year, a lot of surprise teams that sprouted early. No one saw the Commanders, probably people in Washington and maybe Sonia, but no one saw the Commanders even sniffing probably a playoff this year. The Chargers sniffed early. A lot of teams were surprising, and also the powerhouse teams that you probably thought, the Niners,
Don't be disrespectful now.
I'm saying.
I'm kidding.
I'm saying
so disrespectful.
The team that you thought were going to compete. A lot of people thought the Packers was going to compete. With not what they did last year. It was just a funky football season this year, and I'm waiting for it to finally end. And I got the Commanders, and I do hope the Bills do win, but I don't know, man. It might be the Commanders' team.
Yeah. I can attest that. I mean, who saw the Vikings winning as many games as they did? So,
that part.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that happened that we weren't ready for, but it went down the way it did, and thus turns another year of the NFL. And this getting through these last couple games and into the Super Bowl should be pretty fun. Either way, guys, another nice show. Randy, we wish you a fast recovery and getting back to the show as quickly as possible. And fans, thank you so much for being in the chat and leaving us, likes and subscribes and shout outs to other people and letting us know.
That's Mario, the joke really of the year, Angels 2025 champion.
Jesus Christ.
Of making free agent deals in the first week.
We would literally need the Angels in the outfield to reappear, but in real life, and Jesus Christ to be the starting pitcher because
that's the only way.
Yeah, it's the only way we're winning.
What are you talking about? Dodgers have Jesus, Mary, Joseph. They have everybody.
Yeah, they got him on the
page. It looks like, man.
All right, fellas. Well, you guys have a good rest of your evening, and fans out there, enjoy the rest of these games. They should be fun. Catch you next week with a recap. This time on Monday, right? Or you want to try Monday again?
I think I might have to go Monday next week as well. But
y'all hear it live.
We'll confirm.
We're gonna be going Monday.
But if you have like, comment, subscribe, get the notification when we go live. It's gonna be fantastic.
Exactly.
There you go.
That thing will notify you, and you just gotta press the button and join.
Yep. Vibrate them butt cheeks. See ya.
Oh.